For centuries, royal families have lived in magnificent palaces, surrounded by wealth, power, and influence. Their lives appear almost magical to the outside world, crowns glittering with jewels, royal ceremonies watched by millions, and families whose names are remembered for generations. But behind the golden gates of royal palaces, history hides darker secrets. Some of the most powerful royal families in history have been surrounded by mysteries, stories of betrayal, sudden disappearances, and secrets buried so deeply that even historians cannot fully explain them. Among all royal mysteries, one story continues to puzzle historians even after more than 5 centuries. It is the mystery of two young princes who walked into the legendary Tower of London and were never seen again. This chilling event became one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in royal history, and even today, no one knows the truth. A kingdom on the edge. To understand this mystery, we must travel back to the late 15th century in England. At that time, the country was trapped in a violent struggle for power, known as the Wars of the Roses. Two powerful royal houses, the House of York and the House of Lancaster, were fighting for control of the English throne. Kings rose and fell, battles were fought across the land, loyalty could change overnight. Amid this chaos ruled King Edward IV, a powerful monarch from the House of York. Edward IV managed to bring a period of stability to England after years of conflict. He ruled strongly, and many believed the kingdom had finally found peace. But fate had other plans. In April of 1483, Edward IV suddenly died. His unexpected death shocked the kingdom, and it set the stage for one of history's most haunting mysteries. The young king. After Edward IV's death, the crown was supposed to pass to his eldest son, the young Prince Edward V. But there was one major problem. Edward V was only 12 years old. A child could not rule a kingdom alone, especially during such dangerous political times. Therefore, someone needed to act as protector and guide the young king until he became an adult. That responsibility fell to Edward's powerful uncle, Richard III. Richard was known as a skilled military leader and a loyal supporter of his brother, the late king. At least, that was what people believed. The journey to London. After his father's death, Edward V began his journey toward London, where he would be officially crowned king. However, along the way, Richard intercepted the young prince and took control of his travel arrangements. Richard insisted he was simply protecting his nephew. Soon after, Edward's younger brother, Richard of Shrewsbury, joined him. The two boys were then taken to stay at the Tower of London. Today, the tower is known mostly as a historic monument and tourist attraction, but in the 1400s, it served a different purpose. It was both a fortress and a royal residence where kings sometimes stayed before their coronation. At first, everything seemed perfectly normal, but history would soon take a terrifying turn. The last sightings. In the beginning, the young princes were often seen inside the tower. Servants reported seeing them playing in the gardens and walking along the stone courtyards. Guards occasionally spotted them looking out from the tower windows. They were two young boys living inside a massive stone castle, waiting for the day when the older brother would become king. But as weeks passed, the sightings slowly began to stop. The princes were seen less often. Then, they disappeared entirely. No one outside the tower saw them again. A new king. While the princes remained hidden inside the tower, something unexpected happened. Richard made a shocking announcement. He declared that Edward IV's children were illegitimate and therefore had no legal claim to the throne. Soon after that declaration, Richard crowned himself king. He became Richard III. For many people across England, the timing seemed suspicious. 2 young princes had vanished and their uncle had taken the crown. Rumors quickly spread throughout the kingdom. The dark rumors. Across England, whispers began to circulate. People feared that something terrible had happened inside the tower. Some believed the princes had been secretly murdered. Others thought they had been moved somewhere else and kept hidden to prevent rebellion. But no official explanation was ever given, and the princes were never seen again. As years passed, the mystery only grew deeper. A discovery in the tower. Nearly 200 years later, something shocking happened. In 1674, workers renovating part of the Tower of London made a disturbing discovery beneath a staircase. They found a small wooden chest buried deep under the stone floor. Inside the chest were the skeletons of 2 children. Many historians immediately believed the bones belonged to the missing princes. The remains were eventually placed inside Westminster Abbey, one of Britain's most important royal burial sites. But even then, the mystery remained unsolved. No one could prove the bones truly belonged to the princes. Even today, modern testing has never fully confirmed their identities. Who was responsible? For centuries, the main suspect has remained King Richard III. After all, the disappearance of the princes cleared his path to the throne. Writers and historians often portrayed him as a ruthless and ambitious ruler. One of the most famous portrayals came from the legendary playwright William Shakespeare, who depicted Richard as a villain in his historical play about the king. But modern historians are not completely convinced. Some believe Richard may have been innocent. Others suggest different suspects. Other possible theories. One possible suspect was the nobleman Henry Stafford, 2nd Duke of Buckingham, who may have acted independently in an attempt to gain political power. Another theory points toward Henry IX, the future king who defeated Richard III and took the throne. Some historians believe Henry IX might have eliminated the princes to remove any rivals who could challenge his rule. And then there is the most mysterious theory of all, that the princes may have survived. The Pretender. Years after the princes disappeared, a man named Perkin Warbeck appeared in Europe claiming to be Richard of Shrewsbury, the younger prince who had vanished in the tower. Surprisingly, many people believed him. Several powerful rulers across Europe supported his claim. For a brief moment, it seemed possible that one of the missing princes had survived. But eventually, Warbeck was captured. He was later executed after confessing that he was an imposter. Still, some historians wonder whether his confession was forced. A mystery that still lives. More than 500 years passed since the princes were last seen. Kings have ruled, empires have risen and fallen, but the mystery remains unsolved. Historians continue to debate what truly happened inside the Tower of London in 1483. Were the princes murdered? Did someone secretly help them escape? Or is the truth still hidden somewhere within the ancient walls of the tower? The mystery that history cannot solve. Royal history is filled with fascinating stories, but few are as haunting as the disappearance of the princes. 2 young boys entered a royal fortress meant to protect them, but they never came out. Their fate remains one of the greatest unanswered questions in royal history. And perhaps that is why the story still fascinates the world today, because somewhere in the shadows of history, the truth may still be waiting to be discovered.